The first official doctrine about Mary that the church taught was the title of Mary as Mother of God, going all the way back into those early ecumenical councils, the Council of Ephesus, using the Greek terminology, Mary as Theotokos, the God-bearer. It's an extraordinary thing to recognize that God designed a plan that would include a human being in such a way that this woman chosen from among all of humanity in all time to be able to have such a title, the God-bearer, the Mother of God. Now, as amazing as it is that the church honored Mary in this way because God chose her and honored her himself, the real deeper reason for that title, bestowing on Mary this title, Mother of God, was to help clarify the mystery of who Jesus was. It was at a time in the church when there was a great deal of confusion of just who was this man we read about in the Gospels. Was he really a man, or was he just God in an appearance of a man? Was he just an extraordinary man blessed by God, or was he really God? And this mystery about who Jesus was and who it was that we were following, this was being wrestled out and argued and trying to be understood. And in the church's declaration of Mary as Mother of God, it clarified that the child of Mary was not an ordinary child, that the child of Mary was God. And so, from the beginning, what we see in God choosing Mary and then the church following suit in honoring her is that we honor her best and we understand her best when we realize that her whole life is about pointing us in a clearer direction to who Jesus really is, to shedding light on the mystery of God in the flesh. It's certainly fitting that we mark this day not only on January 1st when the whole church celebrates Mary as Mother of God, but on this day because, of course, our image of Our Lady of Leche captures in such a profound and intimate way this mystery of a woman chosen to be the Mother of God. Now, in the image of Our Lady of Leche, part of the mystery that Mary helps us to see is the mystery of the fact that the God of all creation could choose to be a part of our world, of our lives, in such a vulnerable way. God, power to create, bringing all things into existence, and yet depending on this woman for his very sustenance, for the food that would keep him alive as a child, highlighting the reality that he was truly and fully a man at the same time as being a fully God. A man who, as the scriptures would tell us, is like us in all things but sin, including the fact that he couldn't care for himself. How could God become so vulnerable? Mary, intending to Jesus, she helps us to grasp more fully what this mystery is really all about. A God who is not distant from us, but a God who shares our life. And as we look upon this image and as we see the child that she nurses, we can identify with a God who understands our weakness, a God who understands our dependence, a God who shows us that we, like that child, are worthy to be cared for. This woman, Jesus, would later give to us, not just as a figure to follow, but as our own mother. And so we have this mystery of God caring for us in sharing our life, in caring for us by giving us his own mother as our mother. Now, this mystery of the God who comes in such vulnerable form, who shares our life, has also been understood and celebrated by countless people who have come seeking her intercession in a very vulnerable moment in their own lives. How many women have come to this place carrying children, begging the Lord to protect this child already so precious to them, a child already having changed their life? How many have come in a certain agony, asking Mary to intercede so that a child might be conceived, so that they might share in the mystery of God, that is a mystery that brings the creative power of God to human beings. The mystery of a man and woman brought together so that through their love for each other, new life can be born into the world. These mysteries that make up our relationship with God. They are taught to us and modeled for us by our Blessed Mother in a way that goes beyond every other example. And so it's fitting that we honor her as God did. It is fitting that we pay close attention to learn more clearly the mysteries of who God really is. But as amazing as all of that is, we have something truly extraordinary in the gospel passage that I just read. We perceive that Mary ought to be honored, and so it is no wonder we would cry out to Jesus, as did this person in the crowd, "Blessed is that woman that carried you. Blessed, blessed the child that nursed at your breast." And then Jesus says, "Blessed are you. Blessed are you." How could it be that we who are honoring Mary for clearly being chosen as different than all of humanity, how could that same Jesus, that child that depend on her, how could he say to us, "Blessed are you"? And yet that's the message that he gives in response to this woman. Blessed are those who hear the word of God and observe it. The greatest of mysteries, that this God not only shares our life by being a person like us, by experiencing weakness and intimacy like us, but that he goes further still and joins us to himself. An extraordinary mystery that this God gives to us. Now, what the church has come to understand then is that the path to sharing in God's life is not only for those who are chosen for a more exalted position like Mary, but rather the key to sharing in God's life, and then ultimately the key that makes Mary a saint and not just someone specially chosen, was that she did hear the word of God and keep it. The path to Mary's holiness was not just that she was the God-bearer. Her path to holiness, as Jesus points out, was that she listened to the word of God and kept it. The path to her holiness, then, is the same path that we can follow. Our path to holiness is the same as the path that it was for Mary, to hear the word of God and keep it. And so we have a woman not only to be admired from a distance, but a woman that calls us into the very journey of living out our faith, the very journey of following the path that the Lord gives, of hearing the word of God and keeping it. Mary demonstrated for us this faithfulness, saying to the Lord, "Yes, let it be done to me according to your word." That's the key passage that makes her holy. Let it be done to me. Yes, I will hear your word and I will keep it. And so we come here tonight to honor our Blessed Mother because God honored her. We are grateful that those first bringers of the gospel to this land included Our Lady of Leche, so that we might have that example, that image that sheds light on the mystery of a God who chose to be vulnerable. But even more importantly, a woman who calls us to follow the same path to holiness that she followed, that we might repeat along with her, "Let it be done to me according to your word," whatever that word might be, however you lead and direct me. Give me that same trust. Help me see in Jesus the path that leads to salvation, so that the final mystery of our life with God is that, like Mary, we can share his life forever. And so our prayer this evening is that we will truly honor her in the way that Jesus most desires, by following that path to holiness, that example that she gives. Because to the degree that we grow in that kind of holiness, this sacred acre will become holier, that generations to follow will come and discover the riches of our life with God, because we have preserved that faith, because we have been faithful in our response to God here in our time. And so we turn to our Blessed Mother and ask that she may teach us as she teaches all her children, that as we honor her, we may learn the lessons that she gives, that we may trust fully in what Jesus tells us. Blessed are those who hear his word and keep it.